The unseen arrival. The sun had barely risen over the distant horizon of Zethar 7, casting an eerie glow across the surface of the alien planet. It was a world that had never been touched by human feet until now, and its vast, untamed wilderness seemed to stretch into infinity. Above, the station Ocelot hung suspended in space, its sleek metallic structure glinting softly in the light of distant stars. Inside, life had settled into a comfortable rhythm for the human inhabitants, a mix of scientists, engineers, and children, all living in the shadow of this alien world, connected by their shared sense of exploration and curiosity. Captain Ilara Vance stood in the observation deck, looking out over the planet. As the leader of this pioneering mission, she carried the weight of responsibility on her shoulders. But today, as the first rays of light broke through the station's panoramic windows, she allowed herself a moment of peace. Her team had made great strides in understanding the strange, alien ecosystem, and today, the children, humanity's future, would be visiting the planet's surface for the first time. The kids had been talking about it for weeks. Alex, a 14-year-old with a knack for problem-solving, was especially excited. He had always looked after his younger sister, Maria, who was 12 and had inherited their mother's sharp, curious mind. Today was their day, and they were eager to see what secrets Zethar 7 might reveal. Ilara called them together, smiling as she watched them eagerly gather around. "Remember, stay close, and follow the safety protocol," she reminded them. They all nodded in unison, excited but aware of the importance of the mission. There were rules to follow, especially when venturing into unknown territory. The children were led through the station, passing rows of scientific equipment and bustling crew members. The station, though small in comparison to Earth's great cities, had everything they needed: advanced tech, botanical labs, and a cozy living area. The hallways echoed with the voices of the children as they eagerly discussed what they hoped to discover on the surface. But amidst the excitement, something strange stirred in the depths of space, something that would change the course of their lives forever. As the children settled into the observation room to watch the planet's surface from a safe distance, a flicker of red lights caught their attention. It wasn't the usual emergency drills. It was far more ominous. The alarm blared, filling the air with an urgent, steady hum. Ilara's heart skipped a beat. She turned to her communications officer, who was already at his station, eyes wide with disbelief. "Captain," he said, his voice trembling, "there's an unknown ship approaching. Fast." Ilara's gaze snapped to the view screen. At first, it looked like just another speck in the vastness of space, but as it grew closer, she could see the silhouette of something larger, something that didn't belong. It wasn't the usual freighters or transport ships that came to Ocelot. No, this was something entirely different. A menacing shape, adorned with scars from countless battles, drifting through the black void. The station's sensors flared to life, locking onto the unknown vessel. "Get the children to the secure zone," Ilara ordered sharply. Now. But it was too late. The station's shields began to pulse, flickering briefly before stabilizing. The ship was no longer just a distant threat. It was almost upon them. As Ilara turned to hurry the children to safety, a massive explosion shook the station, followed by a deep, bone-rattling thud. The entire structure trembled. The kids screamed in terror, their wide eyes filled with confusion and fear. Maria grabbed her brother's hand, looking to him for reassurance. Alex, always the protector, put his arm around her shoulders. "Stay calm, Maria. We'll get through this," he whispered, his voice more confident than he felt. In the distance, through the reinforced windows of the observation room, the children could see the pirate ships descending, their engines roaring as they cut through the atmosphere. They were no longer just intruders. They were hostile, and they had arrived. Captain Vance raced to the control room, her mind racing. "Shut down the docking bays. Activate emergency lockdown protocols," she barked at the crew. The pirates were attempting to breach the station's outer hull, and their ruthless reputation preceded them. These weren't the usual traders or travelers. No, this was the Grey Fleet, a group of well-known space pirates who had terrorized the Outer Rim for years. "Prepare to defend yourselves," Ilara said, her voice cold with determination. She had faced threats before, but this was unlike anything she had ever imagined. The children were her primary concern. They had to be protected. Alex and Maria stood frozen, staring in disbelief as the distant ships grew nearer. The pirates were coming, and the station's defenses could only hold for so long. Alex took a deep breath, his mind racing. He knew there was no time to waste. "We need to move. Now." As the children were herded toward the emergency shelter, the pirates began their assault on the station. Through the shuttering walls, they could hear the metallic clang of alien feet landing on the decks, the sound of weapons being drawn, and the eerie hum of alien technology. It was only a matter of time before the attackers would find them. Alex looked at his sister. "Stay close to me," he said, his voice steady despite the panic threatening to rise. "We'll be okay. We just need to think fast." The pirate fleet had underestimated one thing: humanity's resolve. The moment they had crossed into human space, they had awakened a force they couldn't understand, a force that would soon make them question their every move. Because humans had a way of rising up, no matter the odds. And this would be their greatest test yet. The pirates grasped. The cold, metallic scent of the pirate ship filled the air as it drifted through the void of space, its dark silhouette casting an ominous shadow over the station. Captain Ilara Vance paced back and forth in the command center, her mind working in overdrive. The pirates had breached the station's outer hull, and their hostile presence sent waves of tension through every crew member. The security team was already on high alert, preparing for the worst, but there was one thing they hadn't accounted for: the human spirit. Down below, in the cramped emergency shelter, the children huddled together in silence. Alex kept his arm around Maria, trying to shield her from the chaos unfolding above. His heart pounded in his chest, but he didn't let it show. The others were looking to him, and he knew he had to remain strong. They had been through drills before, practiced what to do in case of an emergency, but nothing could have prepared them for this moment. "They're coming," Alex whispered to his sister, his eyes scanning the room for any sign of danger. "We need to stay quiet and stay together. Remember, our best chance is to outsmart them." Maria nodded, her wide eyes filled with fear, but there was a flicker of determination in them as well. She squeezed Alex's hand, a silent promise that they would get through this together. Above them, the pirates were relentless. Captain Stone, the leader of the Grey Fleet, stood at the head of his crew, surveying the situation with a ruthless efficiency that made even the hardened security officers of the station uneasy. His crew, a ragtag group of merciless warriors from all corners of the galaxy, had one goal: to take whatever they wanted, and nothing would stand in their way. "This station is ours now," Stone growled, his voice filtered through his helmet. "Load up the prisoners and prepare for the ransom transmission. Humanity will pay handsomely for these little treasures." The pirates moved quickly, their weapons drawn, as they swept through the corridors of the station. Their movements were calculated, precise. They knew the layout of the station. This wasn't their first raid. As they reached the children's location, their footsteps echoed down the hallway, sending a shiver down Alex's spine. "Stay calm," he whispered to the others, trying to steady their nerves, "just like we practiced." The pirate leader, Stone, was first to step into the emergency shelter. His dark, menacing figure loomed over the children, his helmet reflecting the dim light. He surveyed the group of frightened young faces, his lips curling into a cold smile. Well, what do we have here?" Captain Stone said, his voice dripping with sarcasm. "A bunch of little humans, all alone and afraid. How convenient." Alex stepped forward, his fists clenched at his sides. "What do you want with us?" he demanded, trying to sound braver than he felt. Stone chuckled darkly. "Oh, we want you. Little ones, you're the perfect bargaining chips. Humanity will do anything to get their precious children back, won't they? We'll make a fortune." Alex's heart raced, but his mind was already working overtime. He had to find a way out of this. They couldn't let the pirates take them. He glanced at Maria, whose eyes were locked on the door, studying it with intense focus. There was something in her expression, a spark of recognition. She wasn't just scared, she was thinking. Maria whispered to Alex, "The door. I can access it. We can lock it from the outside and trap them in here." Alex's eyes widened. "Are you sure?" Maria nodded, determination in her gaze. "We've trained for this. It's worth a try." Without another word, Maria slipped from Alex's side and began to move quietly toward the door control panel. The pirate captain, distracted by his cruel taunting of the other children, didn't notice her approach. As she reached the panel, Maria's fingers flew over the controls. She had learned how to manipulate the station's systems, thanks to her mother's teachings about the mining equipment and its intricate software. This was no different. But just as she was about to press the final button, a sharp voice rang out behind her. "What do you think you're doing, little girl?" Maria froze, her hand hovering above the control pad. She turned slowly, her heart pounding in her chest. Captain Stone was standing just a few feet away, his helmet reflecting her terrified face. Alex leaped into action, pushing Maria behind him. "Leave her alone," he shouted, his voice filled with defiance. Stone took a slow step forward, his armored form towering over the children. He tilted his head, studying Alex with a chilling smile. "You're brave, but foolish. There's no escape. There never is when you're dealing with us." Just as Stone reached out to grab Alex, a loud, thunderous sound echoed through the station. The entire structure shook as the ship's main engines roared to life. Something was happening outside. For a moment, the pirates paused, glancing at each other in confusion. Was there another ship nearby? A rescue? No, this was something different. Something far more terrifying. Ilara, from her command post, watched in disbelief as a large vessel appeared on the station's external sensors. It wasn't another pirate ship, nor was it a human craft. It was something entirely alien, its sleek black hull gleaming with an energy unlike anything the humans had ever encountered. Captain Stone swore under his breath. "What is that?" The mysterious ship didn't make any attempt to communicate. Instead, it hovered ominously above the station, casting a shadow over the entire operation. The pirates, momentarily distracted, began to shift uneasily. Ilara's voice crackled through the station's loudspeakers. "This is Captain Ilara Vance of the Ocelot Station. You've made a grave mistake. Release the children and leave now, or face the consequences." The pirates hesitated. They had never encountered such resistance. What was this new force? Who were they, and why had they arrived just as they were about to complete their mission? One thing was clear. They had no idea what they were about to face. The unexpected ally. The tension inside the Ocelot station was palpable. For a brief moment, all the pirates could do was stare at the looming alien vessel, its black hull gleaming against the backdrop of distant stars. The presence of the ship was more than just an interruption. It was a warning. Whoever controlled that vessel, they weren't here for the children or the station. They were here for something far more dangerous. Captain Ilara Vance stood at the command center, her fists clenched as she tried to process what she was seeing. She could feel her crew's anxiety mounting. This wasn't just another threat to be dealt with. It was an unknown force, an unfamiliar power that none of them had ever encountered before. Yet Ilara's mind raced with calculations. The pirates had made a mistake, but these unknown entities, whoever they were unpredictable. There was no telling how they might react to the human crew. "Captain," one of her officers said, his voice tight with tension, "we're getting strange readings from the alien ship. It's not transmitting anything. It's just hovering." Ilara nodded, her eyes fixed on the screen, her mind already working through possible scenarios. Could this be a warning, a show of power? Or was it a silent observer, waiting to see what would unfold? Either way, they needed to stay calm. They couldn't afford to let fear dictate their actions. Down below, in the emergency shelter, Alex, Maria, and the other children sat huddled together, their eyes wide with confusion. They had been through drills, practiced evacuation procedures, and survival tactics, but nothing had prepared them for this. The pirates were dangerous, but now there was a new, much larger threat looming overhead. Alex could feel his sister's hand trembling in his grip, and he squeezed it tighter. He had to keep them calm. "Stay together. We've got a plan. We'll figure this out," he whispered, trying to reassure not just Maria but the other children as well. They were all looking to him for guidance, but inside, he felt as uncertain as they did. As the pirates began to regroup, confusion spread among them. They had clearly expected a quick raid, a simple snatch-and-grab mission, but the appearance of the alien ship had shifted the entire dynamic. Captain Stone, normally a ruthless leader who had seen it all, was now visibly on edge. His crew was muttering nervously, exchanging glances as they calculated their next move. "Stone," one of the pirates shouted, "what do we do now? That ship, it's not like anything we've ever seen. We don't even know if it's hostile." Stone's eyes narrowed behind his visor. "We finish what we started," he growled. "We've taken the children, now we use them as leverage. The message will go through, no matter what." But his words seemed less convincing now. The pirate crew was uneasy, their focus split between the Ocelot station and the alien vessel above. As Stone barked orders to his crew, a voice cut through the air, one that didn't belong to any of the pirates. The voice was clear, cold, and commanding. "You will release the humans immediately, or face the consequences." The sound of it echoed through the station's loudspeakers, sending a chill down everyone's spine. Ilara's breath caught in her throat. That voice, it wasn't human. The pirates froze. Even Stone, who had been the picture of confidence moments before, looked momentarily disoriented. Who's that?" he demanded, his voice shaky. No response came immediately. But then, the alien ship above the station finally made a move. It shifted, moving with an unnatural precision, and before anyone could react, a beam of blue light shot from its underside, striking the pirate ship hovering just above Ocelot. The blast wasn't destructive, but it sent a powerful shockwave that rocked the pirate vessel, disabling its shields and throwing off its balance. The pirates scrambled in confusion, trying to regain control of their ship. Their communications were jammed, and they could no longer coordinate with one another. The alien ship had disabled their technology, leaving them stranded and vulnerable. It wasn't just a warning anymore. It was a declaration of power. Alex could feel the sudden shift in the air as the pirates began to panic. It was their turn to feel cornered. But even though the pirates were struggling, Alex knew they weren't out of danger yet. The alien ship's intervention had changed the odds, but it wasn't the end of the threat. The pirates were dangerous, and they would fight to the bitter end. "What do we do now?" Maria whispered, her voice barely audible. "We wait," Alex replied, his voice steady despite the growing fear. "We wait for the right moment." Up above, Captain Stone seethed. The alien ship had humiliated him. His crew was in disarray, their morale shattered. But Stone wasn't one to back down easily. He gritted his teeth, his anger building as he gathered his crew together. "We may be in trouble," he muttered, "but we're not done yet. We take what we came for. Lock down the station. We won't be bullied by some unknown force." But the unknown force was no longer just watching from a distance. It was now actively intervening, and its presence was undeniable. As the pirates scrambled to regain control of the station, Ilara saw an opportunity. She knew the Ocelot station better than anyone. She had trained for situations like this. While the pirates were distracted by the alien ship's attack, the crew could take back control of the station's systems. "Move quickly," Ilara ordered, her voice sharp and commanding. "We need to retake the station before the pirates get organized." The crew worked in unison, rushing to their positions. The children, still in the emergency shelter, were unaware of the delicate dance unfolding above them. They were still waiting, hoping for a miracle. But Alex could feel the tide turning. It wasn't over yet, but they were one step closer to regaining control. And in the heart of the chaos, the alien ship remained silent, watching, waiting. The unexpected turn. The calm of space was shattered as the Ocelot station vibrated once again, a deep thrumming shake that sent a wave of panic through the children. The pirates were losing their grip, and the alien ship above had made it clear that this was no longer just a battle for human lives. It was a standoff between two forces, one known, one unknown, and the outcome was far from certain. Inside the station's command center, Captain Ilara Vance's hands flew over the control panel. The crew had initiated the countermeasures, but the pirates were still fighting back, and the alien ship had yet to make its next move. Time was running out, and Ilara knew she had to make a decision quickly. "Deploy the secondary shield systems," she commanded, her voice steady, though the urgency was clear. "We can't let them breach the core systems." But even as the crew worked frantically to safeguard the most crucial parts of the station, Ilara couldn't shake the feeling that they were missing something. This wasn't a typical raid. The pirates were dangerous, yes, but the appearance of the alien vessel had changed everything. They were no longer in control of the situation, and she needed to understand who, or what, had sent this mysterious force. Outside, the alien ship remained suspended, as if watching them, waiting for something. Its black hull shimmered against the backdrop of stars, a constant reminder that they were not alone in the galaxy. What were its intentions? Were they aligned with humanity's, or were they something far more dangerous? Down below, Alex stood at the emergency shelter door, his ear pressed against the cool metal. He could hear the faint sounds of alarms echoing throughout the station, but it was quieter than before. The pirates had been rattled. Alex couldn't help but feel a spark of hope. This was their chance. Maria was beside him, her brow furrowed with concentration as she glanced around the room. "Do you think it's safe?" she asked quietly. "I don't know, but we need to find out," Alex replied, his voice barely above a whisper. He was calm on the surface, but his mind was racing. They had to act now. The pirates were distracted, and with the alien ship disabling their technology, the station's systems were vulnerable. If they could get to the comms array, they might be able to send a distress signal to Earth before the pirates regained control. "We're going to make a run for it," Alex said, his tone firm. He looked at the other children, his face set with determination. "Stay close, and don't stop until we're safe." Maria nodded, her eyes wide but determined. She had always looked to Alex for guidance, and now it was more important than ever. Together, they had survived countless drills, but this was real. It wasn't a simulation, and it wasn't something they could escape with just clever tricks. It was a fight for their lives. As Alex turned to lead the group toward the hidden maintenance hatch, a soft buzz sounded from the emergency console. Maria's fingers flew across the interface, her quick thinking already at work. "I can access the maintenance tunnel," she said, looking up at her brother. "If we can get there, we can move through the station unnoticed." Alex gave her an approving nod. "Lead the way." Meanwhile, aboard the pirate ship, Captain Stone was losing his composure. His once steady demeanor had crumbled under the pressure of the unexpected assault. His crew was still reeling from the alien ship's interference, and the communications blackout meant they were no longer receiving instructions from their own fleet. He wasn't the type to retreat, but even he could see that they were outmatched. Stone slammed his fist against the command console. "We're not giving up this easy," he snarled, rallying his crew. "We're here for the children, and we're going to get them. We take what we came for." But his voice lacked conviction. The pirates were divided now, many of them hesitant. It was clear they weren't the well-oiled machine they had once been. The appearance of the alien vessel had thrown them off balance, and now their grip on the situation was slipping. The momentary chaos aboard the pirate ship gave Alara the opening she needed. She barked orders to her crew, and they began their final push to regain control of the station's systems. With the pirates distracted and the alien ship still looming overhead, this was their best shot. "Captain, we've regained control of the communications network," one of the officers reported, his voice filled with relief. "We can send the distress signal now." Ilara's eyes narrowed. "Do it," she ordered without hesitation. The pirate ship was damaged, but it was still capable of launching a counterattack. The alien ship had made its move, but they couldn't count on it for much longer. If humanity was to survive this, they had to act quickly. Back in the shelter, Alex and Maria were leading the group through the narrow corridors of the maintenance tunnel. They had to move quickly, silently. Every sound felt amplified in the stillness. Every footstep a potential giveaway to the pirates still patrolling the station. Suddenly, they heard the unmistakable sound of footsteps approaching from behind. Alex's heart raced. They had been discovered. He turned to Maria, his expression sharp. "Hide. Now." Without thinking, Maria grabbed his hand and pulled him into a nearby utility room, where they crouched in the dark shadows. The footsteps grew louder, and Alex held his breath. If they were caught now, it was over. The pirate soldiers passed by without noticing them, their heavy boots echoing down the hallway. Alex exhaled, relief flooding over him. "That was close," he whispered, but there was no time to relax. They had to keep moving. The children emerged from their hiding place, more determined than ever. They had made it this far, but the real test was just beginning. The pirates were desperate now, and the unknown alien ship still hovered above them. They had no idea what it wanted, but it wasn't backing down. As they continued their trek through the station, Alex couldn't help but feel that the balance of power was shifting. The pirates were losing their grip, but the arrival of the alien vessel had introduced a new, unpredictable force into the equation. And while the pirates were still a threat, Alex knew one thing for sure: this was just the beginning. The hidden agenda. The dark silence of space was broken only by the quiet hum of Ocelot Station's emergency systems, but the tension inside the station was anything but calm. In the dimly lit corridors, the children pressed on, moving as quietly as possible through the maintenance tunnels. Alex led the group with determination, Maria close behind, her sharp mind working on overdrive. Every decision had to be quick, every step calculated. They were no longer just running from pirates. They were running toward the unknown. Meanwhile, aboard the pirate ship, Captain Stone seethed. His crew was scattered and disorganized, still reeling from the alien attack. The communications blackout had left them in the dark about the larger picture, and the uncertainty gnawed at their patience. They were on the edge of a losing battle, and Stone knew it. He was a seasoned leader, accustomed to winning at any cost, but this was unlike anything he had encountered. "How much longer are we going to sit here?" Stone barked at his first mate, his voice raw with frustration. "That ship, whatever it is, has us cornered. We need to act now." The first mate, a scruffy alien with several cybernetic implants, looked back at him, his brow furrowed. "Captain, if we engage that ship, we might not make it out alive. They disabled our weapons and communication systems in seconds. We're not ready for a fight with them." Stone clenched his fists, his knuckles white. "Then what do you suggest?" "We just sit here and wait to be crushed." "We have to consider a different angle," the first mate said, his voice measured. "We may not be able to fight them, but there's something we can use." Stone raised an eyebrow. "What do you mean?" The first mate leaned in, his voice low. "The children. We know they'll come after us for them. They'll do anything to get them back. What if we leverage that? We still have them in our possession, and we're in a position to demand a ransom. Humanity will pay anything to get their young back, even if it means striking a deal with us." Stone's eyes narrowed. "You think they'll negotiate with pirates?" The first mate nodded. "They might. And if they don't, we've got a backup plan. We can take this station and force them to bargain. We don't need to win. We just need to hold out long enough to make them desperate." Stone considered this for a moment, his mind weighing the options. His pride as a pirate had always been his downfall, but he had never been one to back down from a challenge. Still, something about the alien ship hanging overhead made him uneasy. It wasn't like any threat he had encountered before. It was bigger, smarter, and more powerful than anything he had seen in his years of piracy. Back in the hidden corners of the station, Alex's group had reached the comms array. They had taken every possible precaution, avoiding pirates and sneaking through the darkened tunnels. But now, as they stood before the terminal, the enormity of their task became apparent. They had to send a message, an SOS to Earth, but the pirates were still out there, and they couldn't afford to make a sound. Maria, ever the quick thinker, moved to the console. "I can do this," she muttered under her breath, her fingers flying over the keys. The comms array was sophisticated, but Maria had spent countless hours studying the station's systems. She knew how to access its inner workings. As her hands worked, she glanced back at her brother, her face a mixture of fear and determination. Alex stood guard, his eyes scanning the dark corridors. Every sound seemed amplified, and he felt a knot tighten in his stomach. It wasn't just the pirates they had to worry about anymore. The alien ship was still out there, its intentions unclear. He couldn't shake the feeling that there was more to this situation than met the eye. "Done," Maria whispered, her voice barely audible. The terminal flickered to life, and the SOS message was sent. "It's out there. Earth will get it." Alex's heart skipped a beat, but before he could speak, a sudden vibration shook the walls. The ground beneath them trembled, and the lights flickered. "Did you feel that?" Maria whispered, her eyes wide with fear. Alex didn't answer. He was already moving, pulling Maria toward the nearest exit. They had to get back to the shelter, where the other children were waiting. But just as they rounded the corner, the unmistakable sound of footsteps echoed through the hall. It was too late to hide. Pirates. Alex and Maria froze, their hearts pounding. The footsteps grew louder, and Alex knew they had to make a decision. The pirates were close, and there was no way to outrun them. They needed a distraction. Without thinking, Alex grabbed a nearby maintenance tool, a large pipe, and threw it down the hallway. The loud clatter echoed down the corridor, and the pirates took the bait. Alex pulled Maria into a side room, the heavy metal door shutting just as the pirates rounded the corner. The room was dark and cramped, but they were safe, at least for now. Maria leaned against the wall, trying to steady her breathing. "Alex, what's happening? Why hasn't the alien ship made a move yet?" Alex didn't know the answer. The alien ship was still hanging in space, silent and watching, but it was clear that it wasn't here to help them. Something about the way it had intervened made Alex uneasy. It wasn't just defending humanity, it was controlling the situation, and he wasn't sure if that was a good thing. Meanwhile, Captain Ilara Vance was watching the station's security feeds, her brow furrowed. The pirates were trying to regroup, but they were running out of time. The alien ship had shown its power, and the clock was ticking. "We can't let them keep the children much longer," Ilara muttered to herself, her fingers flying over the command console. "We need to act now, before it's too late." The unknown alien force had made one thing clear. This wasn't just about the pirates, it was about control. And that control could mean something far more dangerous than anyone had anticipated. The shadow in the void. As the Ocelot station drifted silently through the cold expanse of space, Captain Ilara Vance stood at the command center, her eyes narrowed in determination. The pirates were on the run, their forces scattered and weakened by the interference of the mysterious alien ship, but the real question remained, what did the alien vessel want? And why had it chosen this moment to strike? Ilara's mind raced as she glanced over the station's readings. The alien ship was still suspended above them, its movements eerily controlled, as if it were studying them, waiting for something. Every time the station tried to make a move, whether to regain control or send a distress signal, the alien ship had intervened with chilling precision. It wasn't helping. It was observing. "We need more intel," Ilara muttered, her voice steady despite the rising unease that she kept at bay. Her officers were already preparing the next phase, but she had a growing sense that whatever lay ahead would push them all beyond their limits. Down below in the maintenance tunnels, Alex and Maria's narrow escape had only bought them a few moments of respite. The pirates were still hunting them, their every step echoing in the dark corridors. But the real danger, the one that neither Alex nor Maria could ignore, was the shadow hanging over them, the alien ship. Whatever force was behind that ship had taken control of the situation, and their motives were as unclear as the dark void surrounding them. "We need to find the others," Alex said, his voice low but urgent. Maria nodded, her eyes scanning the dark passageway ahead of them. The group of children was scattered, all of them hiding from the pirates, but Alex knew they couldn't stay separated for long. The longer they stayed apart, the less chance they had of surviving. As they moved deeper into the station's underbelly, they found their way blocked by a heavy steel door. Alex pressed his ear to the door, straining to hear the sounds of the pirates on the other side. The unmistakable sound of boots scraping the metal floors told him the danger was still very real. They were running out of options. "Maria, think," Alex said, turning to his sister. "We need a way to get around them. A back door, a hidden path, anything." Maria's eyes lit up. She had always been the more resourceful of the two. "There's an old maintenance access panel near the engine room," she said. "We could slip through there and avoid the main corridors." Alex gave her a tight smile. "Lead the way." They moved quickly, using the maintenance tunnels as their cover. Their hearts raced with every step, each noise a potential sign of discovery. But as they neared the access panel, they could feel the weight of the alien ship's presence pressing down on them. It was as if it were watching them. The hair on the back of Alex's neck stood up. The ship had never made a move to communicate, but it was clear it was no ordinary force. Meanwhile, the pirates had regrouped. Captain Stone was no longer the confident leader he had once been. The alien ship had taken the advantage, and now his crew was fractured. Their once unified mission to raid the station had faltered in the face of an enemy they could neither understand nor fight. "What are we doing here?" Stone spat, his face twisted in frustration. "That ship is a threat. We're supposed to be in control." His first mate, the alien with the cybernetic implants, remained calm. "We're not in control of the station anymore, Captain, but we're still in control of the children, and we can use them to get what we need." Stone glared at his first mate, his anger boiling over. "I didn't sign up for this. I didn't sign up to be someone's pawn." "Then stop acting like one," the first mate said coolly. "The station is lost, but the children are still valuable. We can hold them hostage and wait for a rescue, or force the humans to negotiate. Either way, we win." But the unease in Stone's eyes didn't fade. He knew that this wasn't a simple ransom anymore. Something much bigger was at play. The alien ship hadn't just interfered. It had made its presence known, and whatever its intentions were, they were far from clear. Stone's pride as a pirate had been challenged, but now something deeper gnawed at him. He wasn't just up against humanity. He was up against a force that was as ancient as the stars themselves. Back at the comms array, Ilara was growing impatient. Her crew had managed to send out a faint distress signal, but it was weak, and she knew it might not reach Earth in time. With the alien ship still hovering above them, her options were dwindling. "Captain, the alien ship is sending out a signal," one of her officers said, his voice tense. "It's not directed at us. It's broadcasting a message, but it's not in any language we recognize." Ilara's eyes widened. A message. The alien ship was communicating. But how? And why? We need to decode that signal. Now, she ordered, her mind already working at full speed. Prepare everything, we have to analyze it. Whatever that ship wants, we need to understand it before it's too late. As the analysis began, the crew worked furiously, their fingers flying across the terminal. Every second counted, but what they uncovered sent a ripple of shock through the entire command center. The message wasn't just a communication, it was a warning. Humanity is not what you think it is. The words flashed on the screen, sending chills down Ilara's spine. What did that mean? Was this alien force trying to warn them? Or was it a threat? Before she could process this further, another message appeared, this one much clearer. You are being tested. The message sent a shockwave through the command center. Ilara's mind raced as she considered the implications. Tested? By whom? For what? She didn't have an answer. But as the alien ship continued to watch them, she knew one thing for sure. This wasn't just about pirates. It was about something much larger, something far beyond their understanding. The station's power flickered, and suddenly, the feeling of being watched grew stronger. Ilara glanced at the security feeds. The pirates had already taken prisoners, but now, it seemed that the true danger was coming from the cold, silent ship above them.